Talofa lava and welcome to Pip Talk, the podcast brought to you by Pacific Enterprise People. I'm your host, Marie Young. Pip Talk brings you alongside some of the Pacific enterprising pioneers of contemporary culture and commerce in the 21st century. Some names you would have heard of and some names you need to hear of. This podcast is about elevating, celebrating, and sharing our authentic narratives through the treasures we reap from life's challenges. I'm really excited that you're listening today. It's an honor. My special guest today hails from the villages of Pu'apu'a in Sava'i, and Lufi Lufi and Whasitu'uta in Upolu, Samoa. He was born in Auckland, New Zealand. He is Pesata Whamatua Tu'utu'ulea Ava Lama Tone. He is the founder of New Pacific Architecture. Born in New Zealand but moving to Samoa in his late teens, Lama had a lifelong love of sport that began with basketball. His natural height caught the attention of a scout for the local rugby team. And before long, Lama was a professional rugby player for Samoa's national rugby team, Manu Samoa. Starting in 1996, Lama travelled the world with his teammates, in the process being inspired by the work of great architects. In 2001, something happened that would alter Lama's course permanently.
When I had a neck injury playing for Manu Samoa against Fiji in 2001, my professional rugby career came to an end because I was playing in France at the time and I was supposed to go back. So it was the second time it happened with this neck injury. First time I had to have an operation where they replaced a disc in my neck. Second time it happened, it left me paralyzed on the field, so it was really quite scary. I knew then, that I couldn't go back to rugby. The surgeon said, no, you'll be stupid to go back. But anyways, I went through a bit of a downer period. Rugby was my livelihood, and I was really starting to enjoy my rugby at that time of my career and my age at the time. And it wasn't nowhere near the time that I wanted to retire. So anyways, life sort of did a U-turn. Surgeon said I couldn't go back, I had to have another operation. I really thank God because, it could have been worse. I could have been a paraplegic at the time.
Lama's plan to retire from rugby within 2 years was over, and suddenly he had to find a new path. Lama remembered how inspired he was by architecture and began studying as an adult student at Auckland University School of Architecture.
But so the first year was really quite a bit of a struggle for me because I haven't been to school, or I haven't, been in that frame of mind of being at school, so writing essays and, sitting in class. These were some of the challenges I had in that first year. But I, being a mature student also, I was a lot wiser. So obviously if there was a problem, you'd go and fix the problem. You didn't just leave it or sweep it underneath the carpet. So I went and learned how to write essays again, and try and adapt into that university or school life. The thing that really, really kept me interested and kept the fire going in my gut was architecture, and I knew I found something quite special about this degree because it left me thinking about it 24/7. I thought about it all the time. It was something I've never encountered before because you were really made to think outside the box in terms of your ideas or your approaches or your philosophies and into the exercises that they had for you. So you were really made to really think outside that box, and that kept me going too. I did miss rugby, but I didn't miss it as much as I thought I was going to miss it. So thank architecture for that, or a passion that I found within architecture because I didn't really miss it.
As the only Pacific student in his architecture class, Lama was confronted by questions of his Pacific identity and how he would express it.
So that first year really was a year that I kind of had to find myself. I really started asking myself who I was. And culture was one thing that really sparked in my mind about, who I was culturally. And I was really interested in these ideas, thinking outside the box, but also trying to use cultural ideas to think outside the box about, who I was. And So these became my approaches or my design philosophies throughout the whole 5-6 years that I was at uni. And I think fair to say also that uni wasn't at the time or the place, or sorry, university wasn't at the time where they were actually listen to these ideas. It kind of went in one ear and out the other. But that even burned more fire in me to actually write or pursue a post-grad and write a thesis about it. And my thesis that I did in my master's degree was designing with Pacific concepts. This is a follow-on from me, the previous 5 years trying to get through with my undergrad using these Pacific ideas. Our ancestors thought outside the box too, didn't they? I mean, they traveled on these wakas, thinking, oh, okay, I saw a bird path going out that way, so I'm going to follow that, on our double hull canoe, because there might be land and beyond the horizon might be an island where. So, that the navigation started a long time ago in the Moana. 21st century, we're still navigating on land, through our careers and through our social social life, so we've been navigators for a very long time, and we will still continue to be navigators, and successful navigation too. So whatever storm that is in front of us, please note that we weathered some of that storm and we got through it. So so you can do the same, and I can do the same, and we it's in our blood to always make it work.
Lama graduated with 2 bachelor's and a master's degree with first-class honours, applying for over 100 jobs, but not finding any in the global financial crisis. Lama launched his own company, New Pacific Architecture, in 2008. Lama has retained the connection with the University of Auckland and is now a professional teaching fellow guest lecturer. Throughout his studies and career, Lama has drawn on key skills and characteristics that he first learnt in rugby.
You can't go past hardworking and discipline. I mean, I'm not saying that I'm great and all that sort of stuff. No, I was really this close to getting dropped in that first Manu Samoa tour because I wasn't fit enough. And hard lessons learned. The following tour, I came back even a lot more fitter than I was, and the coach and others saying, look, you were that close to getting dropped because you failed the beep test miserably, and you had Peter Fats beating you in that and all that sort of stuff, and I took that quite personally, and I had to, because that's the sort of person I am. And I took it personally, and I thought, look, okay, come the next tour, if I'm lucky enough to get selected, I'm gonna do really well in this beat test. And that happened. That's what happened. So, hard work, discipline, teamwork as well, working in a teamwork environments, and also, the lesson learned for me too was your identity, finding out who you are as a person and your culture. I thought that was really quite important, and I think a key lesson as well. Don't sell yourself short just because you're a Pacific Islander, or you've got just as much right or just as much capacity to contribute to anything that's in front of you. So, these are some of the, I guess, some of the things that I can think of are the key lessons that I've kind of transferred from rugby over to architecture.
What was the biggest challenge in adapting to the academic and then the business world?
And I remember that the work for architecture wasn't so much hard. The challenging thing for me was time management, managing your time. So it's time management for university. I think is really, really key. You've got to really structure your time too. I think our vow, our relationships with people are really fluid. Therefore, any structures that are in front of us become quite overlapping and fluid itself. And I think that's because we're community people. We're not, if say the antithesis of, let's say, a Palangi person, just chucking it, they're sort of more individual, whereas us, our VAR sort of extends out to the community. So we're able to get drawn in from all sides. Some may call it oh, you're such a distraction, you know. But that's because the bar allows us to be, you know, distraction to people. You know, we draw into people next to us, in front of us, you know. So our relationships are always kind of overlapping and
Yes,
interjecting with other relationships because that's kind of who we are. But
yes,
I guess if you find the balance between that and your time management, you should do well. And, you know, kako we our culture is sort of merol whaangango upuvidi. You
mm,
don't talk too much about yourself, but you can lift the other person up.
yes. You can
Well,
lift the
you
other
know,
one up.
yeah. Well, now it's time to kind of talk about us too. You know, time to talk about ourselves too, and there's nothing wrong with that. And yeah, absolutely nothing wrong with it.
Thank you very, very much for your generous, your time, and just for your authenticity of how you shared from your heart and your testimony, your personal journey that is inspiring, and so many incredible um, lessons from it as well. So thank you for te tele lawa lo sunga.
Thank you, Marie.
Thank you for listening to Pep Talk, brought to you by Pacific Enterprise People. You can find Lama through his website www.newpacificarchitecture.com. I've been your host, Marie Young, and you can reach me through our website www.pacificenterprisepeople.com. We look forward to sharing more stories of Pacific enterprising people. If you would like to share your story, send me an email, marie@pacificenterprisepeople.com. Pep Talk is also available on Spotify, Apple Podcast, and YouTube. Thank you for subscribing, liking, and sharing. This is Marie Young. Until next time, keep shining.